We are live. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Excusez-moi. So, I'm hanging out with my first big boa. This is Poa, Poa the boa, and he is a anery boa, a BCI, and he is het for albino. And when I bought him, I didn't know that, but when I ended up later on getting a hypo snake that was also het for albino, and they were my first snakes to ever breed together. And then in the babies, I had albinos, so it was just like, yay! It was a big surprise that kind of got my breeding plans going a lot faster than they would have if I didn't have albino in them. And that's how Nova was made. If you look at his scales, he has a couple light scales, and I've noticed that almost every snake that is het albino, or boas that are het albinos, end up having these scales that are brighter, or like they end up with like a few albino scales, and that seems to happen more visible as they get older. Anyways, Poa now has kind of become just a snake that I care for, but I wouldn't really breed him with anything because now I have snakes with like 3 times the genes. It's fine to carry snakes on your shoulders, but you just should never let them kind of get the full wrap around because they can cut off your circulation and then you're done. Although it's not, it's something to that you can very easily avoid. So yeah, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes I see like people making a big fuss about you shouldn't wear a snake on your neck or whatever. It's totally fine. You just don't let them fully close on your neck and you'll be good. So, one viewer. Is this me or is somebody actually there? You want to say hello? So Poa now is actually available. So if you were looking for a wonderful large pet snake or a great breeder, a great breeder, I don't have to say he's proven. He's obviously proven. He's made babies. You sell animals as like a proven breeder, like when you're talking about like ball pythons lots of the time. If I say he's a great breeder, that means he breeds. But it's just for me, I don't really want to just breed him. I want him to kind of go to someone as a pet. And I always like when I take a breeder and I retire it, I kind of like it to go to somebody that takes care of it as a pet. So that's what happened with his girlfriend Sahara. Sahara went to somebody who now like just loves her and hangs out with her all the time while she's doing work and stuff. And it's just like I'd like Poa to go to somebody like that also. And when you sell a female that you used to breed and it goes to someone, like it's harsher on the female to breed all the time than it is for a male. So if he goes to someone and they breed him, it isn't a big deal. It might actually be better for him because he might want to. And so, this year was actually the first year that he was fine, but one of my other males, like he just he started rubbing so much he hurt his face. And I think it's because breeding season came and he's used to breeding, and now I'm not, same reasons as him, same reasons as Poa. I'm not going to breed him because I just I have other projects that I'm working on. It's just like, I don't know how's a good way to explain it. If you it's like you get a car with a four-cylinder engine, and it's fun because it's your first car, but then later on down the road you get a car with a V8 engine. You're not going to really be driving your four-cylinder engine car anymore. And with snakes, the the males, I guess I didn't realize how important it was to kind of invest in a good male, because if you have, let's say, a male that's a few $1,000s, you can breed that male to just about anything. You could breed it to a normal female and you'd still be so you take an IMG. So let's say we're just going very simple. So you could get a male IMG for $1,000. Now you take that male IMG and you breed it to a normal female, which you could get for like I said, I sell mine for like 150 and up, but you could find one probably for $50 on Kijiji or Craigslist. You breed that IMG to that normal, and you create more IMGs, even though the value of IMG is probably going to drop because of how many people are breeding them, but they're still going for $1,000, so it's very doable. So it's just like, if you could do something like that, why would you take a anery and breed it to anything really, because you're gonna be end up making a pile of like $200-300 snakes. Also, it's just, I think of it almost as wasting a year for a female, because I'll only breed my females once every 2 years. So when they breed, I want to make each litter count, and I want to, as I've said quite a few times, I'm planning to breed less snakes and just have higher quality. No, you can go across. Ariel's running around naked again. What do I talk about? What to talk about? Well, the nice thing about him being anery is no matter what he breeds to, is you know that they have anery. But genes and their value, it's crazy how the prices change depending on their value, because when I think about it, it's like an albino is basically almost the same as an anery. But aneries, I sell aneries for 250 and I sell plain albinos for like $400. And you can get them for cheaper. I know lots of people sell albinos for probably like $200, but none of my albinos are just albino. They're all het for anery, and I don't produce as many. So if you don't produce as many, then you can price them a little bit more because people want them, they'll buy them. So the value the value of any snake is whatever someone will pay for it. So you don't, this doesn't mean you rip people off or take advantage of them, but there's nothing wrong with pricing your snakes for a little bit more, especially if you know that they're in demand. Like even right now with these African house snakes, Um, and Mexican black king snakes, like Mexican black king snakes, became popular. Uh, when I was getting into snakes, you could get Mexican black king snakes for like $80, no problem. They were cheap, but they started becoming popular, and there's been like a demand for them, and he there's been a demand for them, and now people are charging $400 for them. And they're pretty easy animals to raise and get eating properly and all that. With the African house snakes, out of 7 babies, only 2 of them have eaten, and it's been like a royal pain in the butt to try and get them to eat. And I'm asking $300 each for them, and people are already trying to like get them for cheaper, but out of 7, I got 2 left that are still available, and none have left because they haven't like been eating properly. But the amount of work that I have to put in to get them to eat everything, it's a lot of work. It's more work than most of the boas have been. And it's just I have to just keep offering them food and wait for them to take it, because when you try to dangle it in front of them, they get scared and run away. Ugly day. Everyone should be in here talking. Also, this is basically what an adult anery most of the time ends up looking like. Lots of people think that aneries are like when they're babies, they're just totally gray. So they look really cool. And as they get older, they get darker so they don't stay as gray as they look when they're babies. And I always tell people and let them see it's still a beautiful snake. You can see the tail. There's no red in the tail. It's like black. I went snowboarding yesterday. My wrist is sore. Everybody's here. I'm overload. Can I go get Hercules? I'm gonna go get Hercules. Why not? Oh no, I just fell.
Hello. I just went to get another snake.
How's it going? Hanging out with Nintendo now. Perv for Valish. Perfect. Perv for Valish. Valish. If you have any questions about snakes, feel free to ask me. A nice little snake hat. I've actually been pretty surprised by this is Nintendo. And Nintendo is I think like let me see. Let me see how old Nintendo is. 2017. So 2018, 19, 20. He's 3 years old. Woo! And he's a runner. He runs away. He's actually never been a nasty snake. He's always been a little bit scared. He runs away. Once you get him out, he's pretty good, but when you try to get him, sometimes he's a little afraid. He used to always pee and poop on me, but he's gotten a lot better. Haven't you, buddy? Yes, you have. So he's a ultra pet anery. And an ultra is basically the super form of platinum or fire. Because people call them platinums or fires. So I kind of like calling them platinum more. Because I guess there's a fire gene in Boas and there's also a fire gene in ball pythons. But I don't think there's anything called platinum. So I kind of like that retics, you can call them platinums, and there's less confusion by having a name that other snakes already have. And what's really cool is with platinums, there are 3 different color phases. So there's 3 different types of supers. So in the same, it's I find it super interesting because when you look at albinos in retics, there's the lavender albinos, there's purple albinos, and there's white albinos. But that's in a recessive gene. With these ultras, with the super platinums, there's 3 different types also. There's ivories, which are like almost white. They look kind of like ivory. And then there's ultras, and this is what an ultra looks like. They look almost like albinos. So many times people see this and they're like, oh wow, that's an albino. And he's not an albino. And another cool thing is, so it's almost like an albino, but it has black eyes. Like they have black eyes on them. That's really cool. And also it's kind of tricky because you never really know what they're looking at. You can't really see their eyes the way you can see other retics' eyes. So the moment I saw these ultras, that these are my favorite. I like the way they look a lot. You like the black eyes? Yeah, Ariel likes the black eyes too. But she doesn't like Calypso. Although I think Calypso's like the prettiest. She's Nintendo's sister and she's not as nice as he is personality wise. And even him, he's a little hyper. He's a little bit hyper. But I believe he did his job and Nintendo did his job, so hopefully we got more babies. Well, we got more babies on the way, so that's exciting. It's also neat because we all got our own little different projects going on. Everyone has what they like, and being able to kind of work towards making more of what you like. So this is a 50%, but it's still. I don't think he's going to get super big. I think he'll probably stay a really nice size. So once I have these in 75% super dwarf, they'll be even smaller. And I think once you get them down to a certain size, where like even if the max size was this, to me, that is kind of perfect. If they get too small, then I feel like we're in the same territory as kind of ball pythons. And ball pythons, to me, they never get to a point where you feel like you have this like substantial animal as a pet. Whereas at this point, like it's a good size, and I can take him for a walk, take him outside. No one's really getting terrified. Everyone's kind of like, oh, that he's so cute, and makes a great representation of an animal, and great for teaching people and not intimidating them too much. And just being able to have a retic at a small size is so amazing. Because the wife would never let me have a full size retic, and I don't think I'd ever really want one either. But what does appeal to me is their personalities. So the pure super dwarfs in general are not as relaxed as the mainlands. So it's just like that's kind of the trade-off. So with the mainlands, you get a huge animal, but lots of the time they are super tame, they're super calm. And with the super dwarfs, automatically they're not as much. But as we keep breeding them and as the generations keep coming along, they are getting smaller and they are getting tamer. And I've also heard I read a huge like article yesterday, one of the big forums, and one of the guys says that even generation to generation breeding, so when you take your 50% super dwarfs from the first generation, lots of the time they'll still get like 10 to 12 feet, but when you breed the 50% to 50% again, the second generation, usually the babies will then be topping out at around like 8 feet. So that's a interesting little side note or whatever. But ultras kind of look like they have dirt on their faces. And I don't know, I like that. And I do tend to like snakes that are almost like patternless. also be so as I said, there's three different phases. There's the ultras, the ivories, and the leucistics. And lots of the leucistics have not been healthy. It hasn't really been a healthy gene. Lots of them end up dying. I heard rates like 1 out of 10 seem to survive and make it. But there's people that are working on ways of making them healthier, like through different bloodlines and stuff. Do, 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 do. It's the worst live stream I've ever had. It is Sunday. Sunday at 12. I did what YouTube told me, and we got one person that said hi and left. Where are my friends? Why have you forsaken me? Just sit here picking my nose all alone. If only I was beautiful. All by myself, sitting here all by myself. I don't wanna be all by myself. Oh. See that.